Numbers day today. We've got that Fed cut in the US, the rate cut in the US. We've also got Q2 GDP out here today in New Zealand, and it's expected to show that we will have gone backwards. Remember, it is backwards looking. So Q2, we're in Q3 right now, up to 0.5% depending on who you ask. And we're asking Sharon Zollner this morning, Chief Economist at ANZ. Sharon, good morning.
Morning.
First of all, your reactions. I know it was highly anticipated, but reactions to that rate cut in the US.
So while a 25-point cut was widely expected, there was quite a wide range of expectations about what they would say, about what they would do next, about what Mirren would do. Overall, I think it was probably less dramatic than the market was expecting. It was interesting to see our New Zealand dollar. It shot up a third of a cent, it dropped 0.5 cent, and then it bounced back to pretty much to where it was. So a lot of noise, but not a lot of direct implications for New Zealand on the day.
And is it a good thing or a bad thing that they need to do it? Because obviously it means they're worried about jobs, right? But on the other hand, it does mean that money gets cheaper.
Yeah, I think the market's real concern today was that they would do maybe not what they objectively thought that was necessary, but rather that the political pressure on them might cause them to essentially compromise a little. But certainly in the press conference, there was no evidence of that with very much business as usual comms. So perhaps that will settle things down a little bit. The labour market in the US has slowed down quite a bit, but their economy has generally been strong, and their interest rates, their overnight rate is still 4.25%, a lot higher than it is here in New Zealand, reflecting that their economies so far had a better time of it in 2025 than we have.
Yeah, and we're going to get numbers on that today, right? We're expecting to go backwards 0.4, well, depending on who you ask, 0.3, some 0.4, I think one bank economist 0.5, somewhere in that vicinity.
Yes, there's a widespread expectation that we probably went backwards. There's a lot of data comes out in the last 3 weeks before GDP that are essentially for manufacturing, for retail, for some services that we can sort of plug straight into our model. So it would be quite a surprise if the number did come out with a plus in front of it. Not impossible, but very likely if that were the case, that we'd all dive into it and go, oh, that's just noise and volatility. It's pretty clear in the bigger picture, the economy did at least stall in the second 3 months of this year.
What are you putting, because there are a range of views on this too, but what are you putting the stall down to? Was it, Trump and the Liberation Day and the effect that had, not necessarily, because obviously the tariff impact is still yet to flow through to even the US economy, but to the sentiment in places like New Zealand?
That's a really, really important question, because why you think things stalled in Q2 is obviously going to have lots of implications, what you expect to happen in the second half of the year. So our take is that in terms of businesses, it does appear there were some confidence impacts, that maybe people hit pause on their investment and employment decisions because of the tariff noise. There was a lot of market volatility around that time, actually. And in our business survey, we ask firms what's driving their investment decisions, and the global economic outlook jumped to number 2 amongst firms who said they were not going to invest. For consumers, it's probably more to do with the cost of living, to be honest. Price of food's up 4.5% to 5% per annum, and particularly for lower income households, that's a large chunk of their budget. It doesn't necessarily leave a lot of money over to spend on the nice to haves. And we can see lots of evidence across our card spending data of people trading down, even for junk food rather than restaurants. Spending at secondhand stores is actually higher because it's obviously a cheaper place to buy stuff. People are being very, very cautious with their spending.
Yeah, absolutely. And any spare money you do get, a lot of people are choosing to save it, including some of our farmers. Now, in terms of the quarter, this is going to be probably a bad news day for GDP for Q2. But what we take it from Q2, do we give it back in Q3?
Certainly that can happen. The GDP numbers can be quite volatile, and there's some quite quirky stuff going on with seasonality at the moment. We tend to have a bad Q2 and Q3 and then a much better summer. I mean, in real terms, that's always the case, but it seems to somehow be bleeding into the numbers that are supposedly seasonally adjusted. So maybe we can take a bit of comfort from that. But our take in the bigger picture is that the economy will recover in the second half of the year as some of those deferred plans come back on stream. We've still got the housing market going nowhere for the rest of this year, and that does have a big impact on consumers' willingness to spend. But rates have come down. As you said, agriculture incomes are excellent. And so we are expecting that the economy will recover over the next couple of quarters, just not dramatically.
And when, because numbers are one thing, and I know that's your area of expertise, but numbers are one thing, when do we feel like Sharon, we're actually going to be getting ahead, making headway again?
Well, that's an excellent point, because normally when people think about how bad a recession is, they think about job losses and they think about business failures, because that's the human cost of it. But both of those things are lagging indicators. So it's quite typical that the economy sort of actually turns the corner under the hood, but nobody buys into that. No one believes it because they don't feel it until a little bit later. But I think that, it is definitely patchy out there, but I'm starting to hear some more anecdotes of people being surprised by how quickly things have turned positive. Definitely sprinkled amongst the many more anecdotes of things are still quite tough, but there are definitely green shoots out there. The hope is that they will thrive rather than wither now.